From the Hollywood studios of Columbia Pictures, a Screen Gems production.
Well, good morning, Sam. You're late. Well, stay loose. We'll get your breakfast in a minute. Come on. Come on.
Oh, there you are. Now about these. Well, I just can't see the idiot board without them. From where you're sitting, it must look as though my gears are in reverse. I mean, bringing in the milk and the paper, saying good morning to my friend here. Good morning, Sam. When it's obvious that the sun set at least an hour ago. But you've got to understand that when your day is ending, when you're settling down to dinner or putting the kids to bed, my day is just beginning, and I wouldn't have it any other way. You might say that I was genetically destined to become one of the night people. I get all the warmth and energy I need from the glow of a neon sign. But it wasn't strictly a matter of self-defense that dictated my choice of working hours and conditions. You see, I was born with a king-sized appetite for excitement, action, and intrigue. And unfortunately, there's no daytime menu for that kind of hunger. But when night falls, when strange creatures crawl out from beneath damp rocks, when the muggers and the pushers slip into the shadows, when champagne flows and nightclubs pulsate and candlelight breeds romance, well, I can gorge myself like a starving Armenian. Oh, incidentally, I'm Detective Lieutenant Dan Raven, employed by the County of Los Angeles Sheriff's Office. And this is my beat, right down there, the Strip. 2 miles of boulevard stretching from the city limits of Los Angeles on the east to Beverly Hills on the west. By day, a relatively unhurried street, activated by fashion designers, interior decorators, theatrical agents, and a variety of other solid citizens. But when the sun sets and the skyline bursts into a rash of flashing color, it's another story. And if it's a nocturnal playground you're looking for, this is it. Posh restaurants catering to the elite of Hollywood. World-famous nightclubs offering the finest in entertainment. Jazz joints where Dixieland is still played the way Jelly Roll Morton wrote it. Brassy barns featuring girly shows. Coffee houses that combine bad espresso with impossible poetry and bearded beats. Hamburger palaces and late-hour cabarets. Glitter and tinsel, designed to attract and tantalize a would-be spender. The wide-eyed tourist, the businessman with a fat expense account, or just plain Joe who's out for a good time. Unfortunately, they also attract such dubious species as the con artist, B-girls, bookies, panhandlers, kooks, experts in the art of drunk rolling, extortionists, car strippers, and occasionally a few advanced men representing the interests of the big operators, the syndicate bosses. Of course, for the average person, it isn't always easy to spot the moths among the butterflies. You have to have an eye for it. Sometimes you have to move away from the glare of the lights to see what's lurking in the shadows. You have to search the dark fringes of the Strip, the back alleys and the side streets, and try to stay in one piece. For the past couple of years, that's been a big part of my job. Nosing around, keeping my eyes and ears open, stopping to pass the time of night with a cabbie or a newsboy or a bartender, taking the time to listen to their troubles, to earn their trust. A case in point, Joe Stoner. Occupation, bookmaker. A man with a problem.
Well, I wish I could say the same for some friends of yours. Somebody's got their party lines crossed because somebody with the Federals is exchanging information with someone from the state. And before I know it, I'm up to here in gendarmes. You know what? They want to nail me for making book.
Well, bookmaking's illegal. You know that, Joe.
Well, yeah, but there's usually a gentleman's agreement about that sort of thing somewhere along the line. And besides, if it's illegal, how come they want to tax me for it?
No sense of humor?
Well, they got me, kid. I can't move. I'm a financial basket case.
Well, you better move your car, Joe, because you're going to get a ticket parked this far out from the curb.
Kid, I'm not getting home to you. I can't budge a furlong. I just ran out of gas, and I haven't got enough scratch to buy a gallon to get me to the curb.
Here. Pick me up when things are better. And, Joe, don't put it on a horse.
Why, kid, don't you know you can't get anything down betting the horses?
It's when you need a piece of information that all those hours of listening can pay off. And I've found that you can learn more from one good contact than from rounding up 25 routine suspects. Another case in point.
I ain't gonna fight you, man, because you got all the weapons. Pretty soon you'll be asking me for information on your credit cards.
You recognize him? Nothing?
I'm working on it. You need an address?
Oh, why don't you try?
Like, why don't you hit me with a little more incentive?
Like you ought to trade that horn in for a gun. All right, here's 5.
I can't give you no numbers, kid, but like they say, the face is familiar. Actor-type fella. Real ding-a-ling. You know? Wide-awake sleepwalker. House above the strip. Big gray job. Like a mausoleum. Lots of curlicues in front. Very busy. Garvey Road. G. Like in Gone.
Well, that was High C. A way-out cat. The local swami, and a good man to know. Of course, a hat-check girl or a bellhop or a scorned woman could be just as valuable an ally under the right circumstances. But I have to admit, I've got a soft spot for musicians. Matter of fact, I'm a sucker for any kind of talent. Which brings me to one of the fringe benefits of my job. A ringside table at every one of the top clubs along the street. I might mention that my good fortune will be just one of the plus factors of our new series. I'll be dropping in on Ciro's, the Cloister, Ben Pollock's, the Largo, and wherever I go, the television audience will always be there to share that ringside table with me. Now, you take Gene Norman's Crescendo, my unofficial office and message center. Week after week, Norman presents the biggest names in show business. And over the years, I've had the opportunity to watch, meet, and occasionally become officially involved with the likes of Shelley Berman, Mel Torme, Mort Saul, June Christie, George Shearing, Patty Page, James Darren, Johnny Mathis, and a youngster who in 2 short years has skyrocketed into the rarefied atmosphere of show business. The combined sales of his first 3 records has already passed the 5.5 million mark. Not yet 19, he's composed a half a dozen hit songs. He's broken records in France, headlined at London's Palladium, and made an impressive debut in Las Vegas. Look for him in New York this June when he opens at the fabled Copacabana. The name? Paul Anka.
Your cheating heart, it's gonna make you weep. You'll cry and cry and try to sleep, but sleep won't come the whole night through. Your cheating heart will tell on you when tears come down like fallen rain. You'll walk around and you will call my name. You'll walk the floor the way that I do. Your cheating heart will tell on you when they come down. I mean those tears that are like the rain you're gonna toss around and call my name. Oh yeah, whoops. You walk that floor the way that I do. Your cheating heart will tell on you. You're gonna walk that floor the way I do. Your cheating heart will tell on you.
You'll be seeing more of Paul Anka, our first special guest star, when NBC presents its first stanza of Dan Raven. And incidentally, while we certainly plan to capitalize on the unique talents of our guest stars, we hope to add another dimension. Each of these special personalities will become an important pivotal character, vital to the dramatic development of our story. Maybe this will give you an idea.
Raven, maybe I'm overly sensitive, but I took a 6-week contract here and murder wasn't part of the contract.
That's reasonable. Murder isn't usually committed on a contractual basis.
All right, look, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not very brave, maybe I'm just tired. The point is, something's getting to me, and I want to stop these notes. I'm even willing to make a deal.
What kind of a deal?
I can dig up the dough. Give this maniac the 15,000, but just get him off my back.
Well, what good is that gonna do you? Well, look, Paul, this is blackmail, extortion. People in the public eye get it all the time.
The orchestra. They try to accompany me. I don't hear the beat anymore.
Well,
They think I went out to lunch.
you're not gonna hear the beat any better by paying an installment on extortion. Say you put up the money. What guarantee have you got that somebody else isn't gonna be killed and you're gonna be held up again?
Okay. Told you I'm not very clever at those sort of things.
Well, nobody is. We're gonna try something. Your friend said he'd be watching, so we can make a point of raising the money on the strip.
What does that do?
Well, word might get around that we're raising the money. He might see it or hear about it and figure you're gonna meet his demands.
I can talk to a few people.
You keep singing. From what you tell me, you can use the practice. You've probably gathered that among the night people on my beat, the entertainer's king. And from the kids just starting their careers to the biggest name stars, they're a breed apart. You have to understand them, think the way they think, handle with a lot of care. They don't like to be crowded or pressed. And that's why it's often easier for me to work alone, to be the front man for the Law and Order Society. But the entertainer hasn't a monopoly on my services. There are other people moving behind the bright lights down there. People that aren't so easy to understand. They're my problem, too. It's a big drink.
Big problem.
Well, you gonna drink it over, or you want to tell me about it?
Christmas came a little early. I came in to open the club tonight. Usual time, 7:30.
So?
So I found the back lock smashed. Somebody broke in.
They take anything?
Yeah. Their life.
He's got a gun, he's gonna kill me.
Oh, incidentally, there's one other element that you'll see plenty of in that neon package down there.
Look, what kind of a rehearsal is this anyway? Police coming in here, we're all trapped in here like we're prisoners.
You sing once more, Beverly, I guarantee you you're gonna be a prisoner.
Are we gonna open tonight or aren't we?
Ask him.
Raven, are we gonna open?
Well, sure, Angel. Would I deprive a breathless audience of your terpsichorean talents?
What's your language?
When are you gonna get your Beaver Patrol out of my auto park?
My what?
They want tire prints? I'll send them some.
We'll be finished here before you know it.
Raven, sweetie. Listen, you know that part of my number where I lower myself into the bathtub?
I wouldn't miss it.
Well, Chuck all of a sudden doesn't like it. He wants it out.
Chuck, tonight I'm taking the bath. Go away and let me die, will you please?
Showgirls, party girls, models, malls, you name it and we'll have it. There's just one switch. They won't be chasing me, and it looks as though I'll be too busy to be chasing them. That's life. Well, everything you've seen and heard adds up to a small sampling of what to expect when night falls and Lieutenant Dan Raven goes out to cover his unusual and exciting beat. We're sure you'll agree its promise has been more than fulfilled after you've seen the first film. So what's left? Well, perhaps a brief look at the men and production company faced with the responsibility of delivering the goods week after week. Starting with the blank pages, we have the writer, Lewis Reed. One of the most sought-after talents in the business, Mr. Reed has figured importantly in the success of two top television series, Peter Gunn and Mr. Lucky. In the area of direction, we were extremely fortunate in securing the services of Philip Leacock for our first show. He is perhaps best known for his distinguished direction of such outstanding feature pictures as The Little Kidnappers and the soon-to-be-released Reach for Tomorrow. In addition, two other directors will be on hand to maintain the high pace and excitement of the series. Walter Grauman, whose brilliant contributions to The Untouchables has earned high praise this year, and Boris Sagal, whose credits range from Peter Gunn to Playhouse 90. Now, heading this top production team will be William Sackheim, under whose guidance last year the Alcoa Goodyear Theater garnered more Emmy Awards than any other film series. And in addition, his writing and producing credits include such top prestige shows as Ford Theater and Playhouse 90. As for the production company, the track record speaks for itself. Dennis the Menace, Father Knows Best, Naked City, The Donna Reed Show, Tightrope, and a dozen other first-rate shows amply demonstrate Screen Gem's ability to combine high standards of quality with top production know-how. We're all mindful of sales problems, merchandising problems, and the many ins and outs of commercial television. Well, to this end, you may count on the unstinting help and cooperation of every one of us. Well, that's just a brief rundown on how much Dan Raven has going for it behind the cameras. In front of him, it has even more. A night-blooming cop, top guest stars, on-the-spot location shooting to bring out all the color and texture of an exciting, glamorous background. Three important ingredients for a successful series. You add to that the basic commodities of good melodrama, action, and suspense. Put them all together and you have... Raven? Yeah? Well, talk slower, Joe. I can't understand you. Where? The Largo? What? 50 of them? I'll be right over. I'm sorry to break this up, but I've got to go back to work. I knew I forgot something. I'm really Skip Homeier. But from now on, don't call me. Call Dan Raven.